Hi there, I'm Gary and welcome to my channel. Today I'm building a kit I've been eyeing up for some time. The SA-2 Guideline missile set in 1/76th scale from Airfix. Now I never got to make one of these when I was younger. Now I've been sent one by Russell Taylor, so thanks Russell for making a childhood dream come true. To celebrate, I've even put it on a diorama base. Now if you enjoy the show, and I really hope you do, then please remember to let YouTube know for free by giving it the imperial thumbs up, by subscribing to the channel and by hitting the notification bell. Leave a comment as well if you would. YouTube likes to see comments underneath a video. So we'll make a start with this classic from 1973 with a look at the paints and products I used in the build. So first I'm starting with the tractor for the missile trailer, and the chassis goes in underneath the floor pan. Then the leaf springs for the front suspension, followed by the front axle. For the rear suspension, the two axles are joined by a prop shaft. Then the leaf springs clip onto the axles and the whole assembly can go onto the underside of the chassis. Once those are in place, I can drop in the other prop shafts, although I'm not sure how much I'll see these again. On top of the floor is the fifth wheel assembly that will take the trailer connection. There are also fuel tanks to go in on either side. They have these tiny little filler caps as well. The cab and the engine cover come in two halves that glue together. And the roof of the cab just sits on top. There's the driver's seat here, which goes onto the floor pan. And this is the instrument panel. I've painted a tiny speedometer on it, and the steering wheel goes into this as well. Now before I go any further, I've painted the parts with XF88 dark yellow and added weathering with a black panel liner and a bit of brown oil. So the instrument panel goes into the cab from the bottom. I've painted up the driver and put him on the seat. Then the cab piece can be fitted to the floor. I'll be doing the wheels later on. The next task is to build the trailer. First, I have to add this support member to the back. Then I put a pivot into the missile carrying arm. With the arm in the transport position, the support fits underneath it nicely. At the back is a support cradle for the missile. At the front end are the two halves of a clamp for the nose. Then there's a safety rail, very important, followed by the big gas tank. The gas feed pipe goes through the safety barrier to get to the top of the tank. There's a smaller high pressure tank, but that had a sink mark, so I had to wait for the repair to set before adding it and connecting up another pipe. Underneath the chassis is a pair of parking wheels that go on. Then I can add the leaf springs for the rear suspension and their axle. Again, the wheels are coming on later. On then to the launcher. I'm doing mine in the deployed configuration, so the side stabilising arms go on, well, sideways. The base goes on the platform. Then I'm starting the blast deflector. It has a kind of tripod fitting under the deflector itself, the bottom of which goes into a ground plate. and this assembly clips onto the rear of the base. The side boxes have panels at each end to attach, and there's the pivot for the launch rail that goes on each side as well. Now I'm going to fit one side box first, then the launch rail, which just comes in 2 halves, and then the other side box. So now to the main event, the missile itself. The main body comes in 2 halves. Likewise, the booster stage comes in 2 halves, which then sits on the base of the missile. There's a feed pipe that sits on the outside of the main missile body. Then I can start adding all the control fins. There are 4 sets of these altogether, each with 4 fins. At the base of the booster is a small plate, followed by a support ring that attaches to 2 of the fins. And then finally, I can put the exhaust nozzle on the back. Now, as before, everything gets sprayed with Tamiya XF88, apart from the missile, which is in Vallejo Dark Ghost Grey. The wheels have hubs which can be painted separately. These then join the tyres and go onto the various axles. And the vehicles are done. Now, to finish off my build, I'm making a diorama base on a piece of A4 structural foam. I marked out the plan, then I've started building the bumpy ground using air drying clay. When that's set, I can paint on some sand texture from a pot and let the whole thing dry. I used a surface filler for the rest of the ground, then painted everything. The concrete effect is light gull grey as a base, then oversprayed with a darkened mixture, emphasising the joints. The edges of the joints were picked out in black, and then highlights of pale grey added. Finally, I added some shading with a wood colour to bring warmth to the sand, and put in some stones and ballast for the rocky surface and flock for vegetation. At the end, I dry brushed the tops of the rocks with ivory paint to bring out a bit of a highlight. There it is, and I'm pretty happy with the result, provided you don't look too closely at it. It has tempted me to do the same layout using my Airfix Bloodhound missile set at the same scale. There are really not that many things wrong with this kit, a couple of small sink marks to deal with, and of course it's maybe not as detailed as someone like Mini Art would make it today, but still a really enjoyable kit of an iconic weapon of the Cold War, and I'm really delighted to have made it. Now, if you were delighted by the video, then please remember, give it the imperial thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Thank you so very much for watching today, and goodbye.